Good afternoon, you guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for attending your Gaines Chamber of Commerce quarterly luncheon. It's so good to see everybody here with us today. As many of you know, my name is Barb Nauta, and I always say this, I'm honored and blessed to be the executive director to your Gaines Chamber of Commerce. As always, we've got a lot of exciting information to share with you today, and we have an amazing speaker, which I'm so excited to have with us. Now, at this time, I would like to welcome our awesome Gaines Chamber Board President, Scott Yockey from Hydros, to quickly share our Gaines information with you, and April's going to tag team with him. Give a round of applause to Scott.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. I will keep this quick because there's a lot more interesting people to speak after me. With the Chamber, we want to always make sure that it is abundantly apparent that we are member and solutions focused. We truly want to focus on our members. We want to make sure that we're providing value to you guys. And we're truly built on three core principles: connection, community, and education. Bringing this business community together is important, not only to help share ideas and values, but we also want to help bring the education side of it so that all of us are able to benefit, even from across industries, to be able to learn from one another and help each other grow. We're intentionally trying to bring together business owners and business leaders to help foster meaningful and valuable relationships and shared and invest in the places that we do business, specifically our home of Gaines Township. Our goal is to improve the quality of life for everyone by building long-lasting connections and a prosperous community through education designed to strengthen strategy and support sustainable growth for all. Although, and this sounds like we're patting ourselves on the back, there are a lot of benefits to joining the Chamber as well as being a part of the Chamber, and it's our goal to not only make those obvious to you, but also give you the tools and resources that you need and have simple and easy access to them. Part of that is the connection piece, a curated network of opportunities at our yearly events with select sponsorship options available for those who feel so inclined. Education, we're trying to put together and doing some revamping on practical programs and roundtables designed to strengthen strategy and support sustainable growth. So if you guys have something that you are struggling with or something that maybe we're not covering as well, please let us know. Our board is doing a great job of kind of putting our heads together and trying to think of what that could be and how we can provide more value to our membership, but we're also a small group and we can't see or know everything. So if there's something else that we could be doing better or differently, please let us know. We are always open to feedback and we'd love to hear from you. Insight, the monthly Business Connector newsletter. We're going to be highlighting member achievements as well as looking for other opportunities and events for you guys to attend and finding more ways for networking and connection amongst all the other businesses within the Chamber and within the Grand Rapids area to get as well, excuse me. At the end of the day, we want you guys to know that our commitment is to our members, and you all are truly family to us. It's a smaller chamber and it's a smaller group, but that has its strengths and that has its advantages, and because of that we're able to be a lot more nimble and we're able to be a lot more focused on the ways that we're able to help. So if there's something that we can do, we won't know unless you tell us, and we're here to help, and that is a big part of why we're here. And I've mentioned the board a couple of times, and it's a great team, and we have April Moyer with Moyer Real Estate, Blake Jacobs, Spartan Nash, he's the newest board member, Brent Springblood, the Springblood Agency, James Clark with Holtz Jepson, Mike Nitz with ServPro of Southeast Grand Rapids, Sarah Whistler of Carbon 6 Construction. I don't think she could be here today. Tracy Pierce with Commonwealth Senior Living. She's not here as well. And then myself. So if you guys could give a quick round of applause for your board members. Next, I would like to bring up April Moyer, A, because she's a lot more interesting than I am, and B, she has a lot of really fun things to share. By the way, April is our vice president and is filling in for the large amount of gaps that I have, so a lot of the success is because of April and Barb. So thank you, April.
Listen, thank you. Good afternoon. So what he didn't mention is that there's a lot of synergy between our group. So synergy is 1 + 1 = 3, and I think we've got a great balance, and we also have 2 more available board member seats, so if you're interested, let's talk. So I am here to talk to you about some of the networking events. On your table, you have a little card. It also has a QR code. Shows all of our 2026 upcoming Gaines Chamber events. So like this, we have quarterly lunches. The next one's in June. We have another one in September. And then we wrap everything up at the end of the year with a Pine Rest Giving Tree Luncheon. All of these are great because it's an opportunity to come in, network, eat delicious food, and then hear an incredible presenter. So we also have the Gaines Chamber Golf Outing, which is one of my favorites. That's going to be on Monday, June 22nd. So we had beautiful weather last year. It was a little hot. But that's at Stonewater Country Club. There are opportunities to sponsor a hole. Moyer Real Estate was a hole sponsor last year, if we have any golfers in here. So it's a great opportunity, again, to stop and meet the players and talk about your business. So Taste of Gaines is going to be Saturday, September 19th from noon to 4 p.m. Last year was our inaugural event. We were really hoping for 300 to 500 people, and we had almost 3,000 people show up. So this year we are looking forward to upwards of close to 5,000. So it's going to be big. It's a great partnership between the Chamber and the Township. So Movies in the Park, that's going to be on Friday, August 26th. Great opportunity to bring your littles. There's costumes, there's food, of course there's a movie. Everyone enjoys that. Some of our other highlights throughout the year are going to be the scholarship awards, and we do have a scholarship application. We want to award high school students who demonstrate outstanding personal character, community involvement, and of course leadership. So scholarship winners, 2 guests, and the scholarship sponsors will be attending the luncheon. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in an application, or you'd like to be a sponsor, please let us know. We do want to thank our Business Award Committee lead, Keith Harris from Stonehenge Consulting, and Mike Nitz from ServPro of Southeast Grand Rapids for assisting with these awards. So if you have any questions, feel free to talk to Barb, and we can share her email information as well. So next on the list is talking about something new. So Mike Nitz and I have started together to create something called Fire Starters. So Fire Starters is not just another show up and smile networking event where everybody's slapping a business card in your hand. Fire Starters is intentionally sent with the purpose of if you are looking to meet key resources, move the needle, maybe you need some accountability, or you're just looking for help in a non-competitive environment. So we have a monthly networking coffee that meets every month, which is the second Wednesday of the month from 7:30 to 9 a.m. And this has been hosted by Good Mood Cafe in Dutton on 68th Street. Mike is our host. We talk about relationships, we talk about business, and then we take it a step further where I host the roundtable sessions. So those are every other month, and it's going to be on the odd month. That is on the, I want to say the third Thursday from 7:30 to 9, again, same place at Good Mood Cafe, where we work on working sessions focusing on growth, accountability, and execution. So if you're interested, let us know. If you have any questions, that's what we're here for. But we'd love to see you out there, because if you don't need the meeting might need you. It's a great opportunity to lead in a non-leadership position. Sometimes leaders are in the back. We never know. So please mark your calendars, come out. We're all about coffee, connection, clarity, commitment. We're lighting the spark, and you bring the fuel.
Next, would love to welcome Kristen Nitz. Kristen is just not only an incredible individual, but somebody who has wide depth and breadth of business experience, not only in the nuts and bolts of business, but also on the person side. I've had the opportunity to have coffee with her a couple times and to hear more from her story and hear about her. And I still love Mike slightly more than Kristen, but Kristen is an amazing person, and you guys are in for a real treat, and we are so lucky to have her here. So thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Yeah, everybody likes Mike a little more than me. That's even my kids, so it's okay. So I want to start out by saying, those of you who have ever been a leader, even if it's just to one person, can you do me and stand up a minute? If you've ever been a leader. Now, if you've only been a leader for 1 year, sit down. 5 years, sit down. 10 years? The rest of you, just sit down because I know you're tired. So what we're going to talk about today is generational leadership. And the thing about generational leadership, has anybody ever heard of generational leadership before? Does anybody have any idea what I'm talking about? So there's a lot of different generations in the workforce right now. We still have a few baby boomers left, not many, but a few. Gen X, which is my generation. And then the biggest one we're going to talk about is the millennials. If you're a millennial, raise your hand. So about a third of you. That's about right. So the thing about millennials is they get a bad rap. How many of you Gen Xers or baby boomers are really frustrated with millennials? It's okay. Raise your hand. Raise them high. It's okay. Right? And there's a reason for that. But I want to just share a little bit of perspective. And unpopular, I love working with millennials and Gen Z. I've been in healthcare for over 25 years. I started on the ground, boots on the ground, ended up in leadership. And I love working with millennials. And now the alpha generation, we're going to talk a little bit about them. They're coming. But the thing about millennials, one of the things that is all about perspective. So you all heard about like the participation trophy, right? They all got one, right? You didn't get a trophy if you won, which is the Gen Xers, like, that's why we're so competitive, right? At least I am. It's because it meant something, right? And I've talked to a lot of millennials over the course of my career and the course of my life, some being my own children, actually all being my own children, they're all millennials. And the one thing they continue to say is, stop telling us that we're not special. We already know. So that was a wake-up call for me, because you might think, as frustrating as it is for a baby boomer or a Gen Xer to see them getting these participation trophies over and over again, and they didn't earn them, we never really thought about what it does to them, right? So what's the number one challenge of leading a millennial? I'm sure you guys have your list, right? I would say the biggest thing is there has been a huge shift in the dynamic, right? It used to be, and my baby boomers can attest to this even more than me as a Gen Xer, there was the boss and there was the worker. And you did what the boss said. And you punched your clock, and you did it for 40 years, and you got your gold watch, and that was life. That system no longer exists. It is a mutual collaboration. They hold as many cards as what their leader does. And if you think I'm not right about that, try doing it the old way. See if it works. Let me know if it does. So, what needs to change? Who needs to change? We do, right? Because if we don't change how we lead to the people that we're leading, guess what? We have ineffective leadership, right? We're going to be frustrated, and we're not going to have employees. Full disclosure, I was laid off. I used to work for a private equity firm. I was collateral damage and all of that. And I've been in the workforce looking for a job since October. It is very different. Never had an experience like this before. Always pushed to the final interview. Always been one of the top 2 candidates. Haven't got that offer yet, but it's coming. I know it is. But that being said, the people that I think it really helps me to know the people that I would likely be leading are millennials. And they have so much value. And today my goal is to prove to you that I'm right. So let's talk a little bit about the different generations. So we've got the boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials, the Gen Z, and like I said, the alphas are coming. They're kind of just entering the workforce, just barely, but we need to be prepared for them because guess what, they are coming. And there are going to be us who are still in the workforce, likely as leaders, who are going to have to lead this group of people as well. So as you can see, the biggest generation in the workforce right now is the millennials. So do we fight the system or do we change who we are as a leader? So let's talk about the baby boomers real quick, right? So they are the second largest. The whole war thing, everybody came home and had babies. Their mindset, get it done no matter what. And I know there's a couple baby boomers, I'm not going to label you, I'm not going to assume, but I think. And that loyalty and that mindset was before family, it was before friends, it was before social events. I grew up with a dad who was a baby boomer, and it certainly was that way in my house, right? They sacrificed everything because job, you got to think, their parents came from what? The Great Depression, right? So they came from a perspective being raised by people who lived with scarcity. And so yes, it makes sense why they would be that way, right? Then you have the Gen Xers, which is my generation. I think there's a few of you, I think I'm in good company, right? Our generation, we're a little bit smaller. Our baby boomer parents were like, yeah, having all those kids really isn't all that great. It's not as all it's cracked up to be. We also, our mindset is that we need clear expectation and a lot of autonomy, right? I know myself, probably the worst thing you can do to me is if I'm led by somebody who micromanages me. That will crush my drive and my engagement faster than anything. And I think a lot of Gen Xers are in that boat because, go back to social, we were the latchkey kids, right? We've had 2 working parents. We were the first generation that, we didn't always have a mom who stayed home with us, right? We had to fend for ourselves. We were also that generation, like all my Gen X friends know. You go out, you play, you come home when it's dark. Not even when you're hungry, just when it's dark, right? So we had to learn to be very hyper independent. That was our generation. So it makes sense why we need, tell me what I have to do and let me go, right? So if you're a baby boomer and you're leading a Gen Xer, you try to micromanage them like the boss, good luck with that. Not likely going to work great. The other thing that they need is they are not the first generation to not be blindly loyal to an employer. Remember I mentioned the gold watch? That doesn't exist anymore. Not for employers and not for employees. This was the first generation where they were like, hey, wait a minute. I know as a woman, the message I was given, not only can you have it all, work, family, all the things, but you can have it all right now, right? And so we came from a perspective of we're going to balance everything, but we're going to balance it. We were still a little bit more engaged in work than we might have been in family, depending on our personality, but likely we were the first generation to say, hey, no, I need to have some balance in my life because my kids, my husband, my friends, my social time matters. So millennials, this huge shift, right? Again, my kids are millennials. I totally get it. And I pick their brains. I'm like, help me understand you. Not just as my children, but because I lead so many millennials, right? And so they were the first generation in the workforce to view work as collaborative. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of the caregivers I've worked with and now the leaders I work with, they want to know, even coming to an interview, what are you going to bring to the table? Pay is an expectation. That's not a negotiating factor anymore. They expect to be paid a livable wage, even if they haven't earned it. It's true. And they expect, what are you going to do for me? What is my growth going to look like before they even get the job? That's their mindset, So there's a bunch of them, 75 million. So our generation decided to have a lot of babies. I think because we had a good economy and it felt like, oh, let's have babies, right? Their mindset, they grew up in a world where they had abundance, technology. I'm telling you right now, if you're, not only now, I mean, now we're talking AI, but if you don't have technology incorporated into your company today, you are behind. Those millennials will leave. The last company I worked for, I won't say anything negative because there was a lot of great things about it, but one thing that really frustrated me even, they were paper. Every charting, billing, paper. Those millennials, there are handheld devices that they can click off their tasks of what they're providing for patients. If you don't have that, they're going to disengage. They're like, what is this, right? So they expect to have those tools. That's just an expectation. Again, this has even shifted even further. They are more loyal to their friends and their family. If you leave millennials or are a millennial, do you expect to have a flexible schedule? Do they tell you that flexibility and scheduling is one of their number one priorities? I'm guessing they do. That's what I've seen, even in healthcare, right? It's like, well, this is a 24/7 business, and so we have to take care of the patients all the time. So what did I have to do? I had to get creative. And so one of the things I did, even when I was an executive director during COVID, so I was in charge of 65 senior citizens and my staff, is I said to them, we're going to self-schedule. And all of my regional director was like, I'll let you try it, but you're nuts. Let me tell you one thing right now. Yes, I worked the floor a lot because COVID, and when they got it, they couldn't be working for 14 days and all the things. But my call-ins went down. My engagement went up. Why? I gave them their flexibility, and they were in control. Again, what was it? Collaborative, right? If it didn't work, I'm like, we're going to scrap it and go back to the way we've always done things. But let's try it. And it worked. The other thing is that they appreciate structure. You wouldn't think so, but it's true. And I would say one of the biggest things of all those things, they crave feedback. One of the first assisted livings I ever opened, I was just up the street from Grand Valley. So I had tons of nursing students, tons of therapy students, which I loved because they were all very driven, they were all very focused. And I always would tell them in the interview, this job will make you a better nurse, it'll make you a better therapist, you will get exposure to care that you would not get in any other unlicensed environment. And they all agreed with me. But the one thing that they didn't know how to do other than laundry, I taught them, a lot of them how to do laundry. These are college kids, right? They didn't know how to have conversations. They'd get mad at somebody, or that somebody would get mad at them. And one of two things would usually happen. They would quit, because they would rather ghost and quit a job than deal with conflict. Or I would get pulled into the conversation, right? And so I was like, hey, I will play referee, but I am not. We're going to learn how to have this conversation, right? And I taught a lot of them how to have a productive conversation. I don't shy away from conflict ever. I really believe that if you care about the person across from you, the most loving thing you can do is confront their behavior and come up with a mutual solution to move forward, right? Conflict doesn't have to be hard. They didn't know that. That's why they dumped their girlfriends over text. Believe me, my sons have had that happen. It's heartbreaking. So understanding the mindsets of them. As far as loyalty goes, this is a fun little statistic, I think. So 82% of millennials say that they're loyal to their employers, but only 1% of HR professionals say they are. And loyalty to them is they're being loyal if they stay for 7 months. 7. Do you even really know what you're doing in a job at 7 months? I don't. I've had caregivers come to me and say at about the 6-month mark, they're finally starting to feel good, they get the flow, they understand their job. And they're like, hey, When am I going to get a raise? When am I going to get a promotion? I'm like, you just got here. What are you talking about? I was a caregiver for 14 years before I ever got into leadership, right? And they're like, yeah, if we don't have, I think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to go. They don't want to climb the mountain. They want to get to the summit. Why do we think that is? I spent a lot of time thinking about that, right? Some words might come to your mind. Entitlement, right? Let's go back to the participation trophy. If they don't feel special, what are they trying desperately to do? Be special, be unique, be different, right? And 52%, half of millennials think that loyalty is overrated. I can tell you that I have one son in particular. A couple years ago, I helped him do his taxes. His child had 10 W-2s, 10 in 12 months, 10. Doesn't do a lot for creating traction and financially. Lots of struggles, a lot of life lessons, right? But that he would just leave. The other one that we talked about a little bit was retention. How do we keep them? I always say that pay gets them to the front porch, culture keeps them in the house. How do we keep them, right? How do we retain these humans? We got to figure this out, otherwise we're not going to have any employees. And as us Gen Xers, guess what we'll do? We'll do the rest of the work. We'll pick up the slack. We always do. We always will, right? So 50% of them, their managers say it's difficult to retain them. And when I ask my leaders, when they have a lot of turnover, because that was always a metric I was very aware of because it's very expensive. When I would ask my leaders, what do you attribute all this turnover to? A lot of them would say, well, they won't work the schedule, they won't, they expect more money, they're gonna jump for a quarter. So of course, then we have to have the culture conversation. But if they feel they're at a great workplace and they have a buddy, they're 25 more times, 25, that's a lot of times, more likely to stay. So what I did as a leader is I created what I called the sticky program. Because we gotta make them stick to us, we gotta make them sticky, right? And so I always had a more tenured caregiver. That was part of their day one experience. They got partnered with a buddy. So that way they were able to go, I can talk to someone about there's a hierarchy of needs that's done by the Gallup poll, similar to Maslow's. And other than having the tools and the training that they need to do their job, number 2 on that scale is belonging. And they have to know that one person, preferably their manager too, but one other employee knows who they are, cares about what matters to them, and that they can feel like they can vent to if they need to, right? 62% of them feel that they can talk to their manager about their growth, and I'm going to tell you in a minute, this is shifting with alphas, get ready for it, their mental health. We all kind of roll our eyes, because that's not something we talk about in the workplace. It is now. If you don't think it is, good luck, it is. I can't tell you the amount of caregivers, even as a regional director, who would come to me, and we would talk, and what it came down to, they didn't have support with their mental health. Lucky for them, that's something I'm very passionate about, and so we could have those conversations. Get comfortable with that if it's uncomfortable for you, because it is part of the deal. And they need to have conversations about, hey, you're not ready now, but in 3 months, this is the plan that we have for you for stretch assignments, and this is your goal. If you don't have those conversations with them, they're gonna check out and they're gonna go. They have to know there's a plan, even if you don't know what it is. Tell them the track. Preferably come up with one. Gen Z, like we talked about Gen Z. So I have some Gen Z kids too. Like I said, they expect compensation is just part of it. They need to advance. They're very entrepreneurial. The one thing I absolutely love about Gen Z people is how much human they bring to the job. They have more heart than any generation I've ever worked with. They bring that to the table, and it is amazing. If you can let them, yes, we have a business framework, of course we need to make money, yes, 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 all those things, yes. But making money and having a heart do not have to be mutually exclusive. You can have both, absolutely. And these kids, I call them kids, these kids show us how to do it. There's a lot to learn from them, for sure. They're actively seeking guidance. They need someone dependable, like teaching them how to have conversations, for example. That's definitely part of it. Gen Alpha, like I said, they're coming. They're not here yet. 51 million. They're very technology. They're known as the screenagers, right? They've never not known life. How many of you, if you have littles or grandkids, I go through the grocery store and they're looking at a phone before they're 1. That is just part of life for them, right? And again, AI, if you're not figuring out a way to incorporate that into your business, you're behind. And these people, when they come to the workforce, if you don't have that incorporated, not only you're behind in business, you're behind in leadership, because they're going to expect it, because they're going to find the company who's got it. This is going to make their job easier, so they're not going to want to work that hard, trust me. Again, flexibility, purposeful driven work. They want to know. My youngest is from this generation, actually my youngest too. They want to know their work matters. I have one kid who swings a hammer and does demo all day. What gives him joy is how he can make life better for someone who's had a horrible environmental emergency. He even does bio cleanup sometimes for tragedies. That's one of his favorite things to do, because he's like, hey, if I can make this better for the family, that gives him purpose. My other kid just recently got a job in healthcare, so proud. But he wants to know that what he does is going to make an impact on the patient. He needs to know he's got purpose, right? So you got to create that. No matter what your business is, you can find a way to create purpose. The other thing is that, like I said, those digital tools, they expect it. So you got to figure out a way to create it if they don't have it already. So I want to ask you guys a question, or ask yourself a question. Are you leading in ways that are meaningful to you, that are comfortable for you, or your team? I really want you to think hard about that, and think about that most challenging employee, and think about what generation they might come from. Yes, there's a lot that goes into that with personality and work style and all those things. Like that's part of it too. But we break it down to what we're talking about today. Just consider what perspective they might be coming from. So we talked a lot about this: flexibility, money, technology. This is one thing I want to focus on really quick. These millennials and these Gen Z, the confidence they do not have in themselves, because guess what? I wasn't one of those moms. My kids have thanked me now. They didn't thank me then. I grew up, I raised my kids with a lot of helicopter moms and a lot of lawnmower moms, right? They would be like, oh, you forgot your boots at school? Let me go run them over to you. I'm like, yeah, I guess your feet are gonna be cold. I had a daughter who went to school with 2 different shoes most of her school years because she couldn't find the other one. I'm like, I guess you're gonna have to wear the 2 different shoes, right? Builds character, right? But I will tell you, a lot of my peers were constantly rescuing them, constantly running in. And now that my kids are on the other side of it, they're like, thank you, Mom. But I'm gonna tell you, I've worked with these kids that were raised by these parents that really, best intentions, not malicious. Rescue, 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 rescue. They don't have confidence. What builds resilience? Failure, figuring some stuff out, right? So when I'm your leader, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to build resilience. And I always tell I'm like, well, you're building resilience, good for you. Congratulations, you failed today. What did you learn, right? And the mental health challenges, like I said, so real. This generation, and I think until you really understand what social media and what, like I was just talking to someone the other day, yesterday in fact, and she's like, hey, all these kids want to do is talk about their mental health, or they call for a mental health day, or how they're so anxious, or they need to go to the bathroom to catch their breath. I mean, it's real. It's very real, especially in caregiving, because you have to face some real, we deal with death in my industry. People die every day. And they don't, maybe you've never seen that happen before, right? So I need to walk them through that. I need to support them through that. However, a lot of them need a mental break, right, for their mental health. I was just talking to this person, and I'm like, listen, when we were at school, Gen X, baby boomer, millennials maybe a little bit, depending if you're on the early end, you get bullied at school or you have a conflict with somebody, guess what? You go home and you're safe. You can escape it. These kids can't. They have completely rewired the dopamine in their brain because they value more if they're going to get likes on Instagram than if they're going to get liked by a human. That's how they measure their worth. And so when somebody unfriends them on Facebook or someone doesn't like their Instagram post, it's a whole deal, right? And what also happens to them, they don't feel like they have any authentic relationships. So they come to work, and it's no wonder. They don't know how to have conversations. They don't know how to make friends. They don't know how to talk to you. It's just like they haven't been taught any of these things. Then you throw COVID in there. These kids were COVID kids, right? It makes sense. So empathy is where I would start, and understanding. So they need flexible, creative work schedules, teamwork, honest feedback, technology, and validation. Let me tell you, when I would teach these kids how to have these crucial conversations with each other, or hey, when this family member, you need to depersonalize it, it's not about you, right? They're just mad that their dad is dying and something happened that was completely out of your control, and you just happen to be the one standing there. Send them to me, I'll talk to them. You need to depersonalize it and move on, right? But when I would teach these caregivers how to have these crucial conversations, I would just have to I give a talk on appreciation. If you had to guess, if we're measuring appreciation in cups and teaspoons, how much appreciation do you think you have to put in to take out 2 teaspoons of feedback, especially this generation? 25 cups. Do you know how many teaspoons are in a cup? 9. So you do the math, 9 times 25, you have to do that much appreciation before you take 2 teaspoons out. And all my baby boomers like, well, they just need to toughen up. Pull yourself by your bootstraps. They don't know how to do that. That's not part of their world. Even if they had parents that, like me, who let them wear 2 different shoes at school. They need that validation. They don't get it from the world. And if they do, it's because they've rewired the dopamine with social media, and it's not authentic and it's not organic. They want an experiential purchase. Think about that. They don't want a material purchase. It is no longer transactional. They want an experience. As a leader, you have to give them an experience if you're going to keep them engaged. And not transactional anymore. It's reciprocal. If you have millennials or Gen Zs on your team, it's a collaborative situation. You don't hold the cards anymore, I hate to tell you. You might sign the paycheck. So you might be thinking, why do we have to change? Because people, how many of you have had a boss? Raise your hand. A boss, not a leader, a boss. You follow a boss, you follow a leader, right? We don't follow bosses. We do what they say, but we don't follow them, right? Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of who is in your charge. So these are just a couple of my leadership values. One of the things I always challenge people when I'm coaching or when I'm giving any sort of a talk like this, know your leadership values because they will be your true north. My husband and I have this conversation all the time. So these are some of mine: humility, partnership, collaboration, accountability, and curiosity. Those are mine. That's how I lead. Know what your values are. If you want to know more about how to figure out what they are, you can call me. I'll help figure it out. So if we don't accept it, guess what's going to happen? Turnover. Guess what's expensive? Turnover. Did you know it's $7,000 on average to replace a staff member? And that's a frontline staff member. You turn over a leader, guess what? $20,000 minimum. That's a lot of money. So if you don't care about anything else I've said, you probably care about the bottom line, right? And so I would encourage you to think differently about how you lead, if nothing else, than to save your bottom line. You're also going to have frustration, financial impact like we just talked about, and also it will define who you are as a leader. Ask yourself, I ask myself every day as a leader, what legacy am I going to leave? How am I going to make this person in front of me make them feel? I still have people that I led who reach out to me, not only for references, but say, hey, remember that thing you taught me? I used that today. You know, that's, to me, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of being a leader, right? I'll never forget the first time I had a caregiver. She wasn't going to college. She was one of the few I didn't have in college. And I said, you have to be a nurse. You are so good at this. You have such a good acumen for this. So we figured out how to get her scholarship. She did not have a good supportive family. I actually was her contact person on her emergency contact on her medical stuff. But she got into nursing school. She graduated. I got invited to her graduation. But I don't say that to like boast about that. Why I say that is that's what the impact you can make. If you make these investments, that's what can happen. So ask yourself, what's going to define your leadership legacy? What are your values? What's going to define your legacy? And what do you have to change? Because if you don't, you're going to be frustrated, broke, and you're going to have a reputation for not being a very nice leader, or not a very effective one at that. So thank you so much.
Excuse me 1 minute while I tweet out to my friends and ask them how this lady knows me better than I do. Excuse me. Oh, very well done. Thank you, Kristen. That's, as a millennial, and I know that's sometimes a dirty word, that's even really helpful for me and my team and the staff that I've had or am trying to bring on. So hopefully you guys got something out of this and it resonated one way, shape, or form. But thank you again, Kristen. We really appreciate it. And so now, I think Barb is going to bring us home.
I think we're going to bring, yeah.
Perfect.
All right. As many of you know, or some of you may not, I have a fun slide, and it's just something I like to have a lot of fun with. When I say, who is Gaines, I like you guys to holler as loud as you can, we are Gaines. All right. When I say, who is Gaines? We are Gaines. I love hearing that. Emphasizing that everyone in the room here is Gaines as we talk about chamber businesses are Gaines. We are honored just to play such an integral role in the lives of our community and the neighborhood businesses. We consider each and every one of you part of our family, and we need to take care of our family members. We want to make sure that we are bringing awareness to your businesses, that we're fostering long-lasting relationships, encouraging community collaboration. We know these are essential to building a healthy local economy. We know that working together, we can and we will bring about economic success and positively impact each and every one of you, our businesses, and your families. For the announcements that we have, first we've got a new chamber member system coming. Probably the end of this month and into April, probably beginning of April. Lori Geyer, she's our amazing executive associate that is leading us on this endeavor. And I know it's going to be a smooth transition, but you're probably going to see some emails from her. So please just respond. She'll need anything just to kind of move all of your information over as smoothly as possible. So just to let you know on that. Another, probably a big announcement for me is after many wonderful years leading the Chamber of Commerce, I've decided to begin a new chapter in my life. I am going to be retiring as your executive director at the end of this year. It's been a true honor working alongside our dedicated board, our volunteers, each and every one of you, our member businesses. Together, we have just built a stronger, more resilient community. I'm so incredibly proud to have been a part of this and shared accomplishments. You guys are all amazing. I look forward to seeing the Chamber continue to thrive. I know it's going to. We've got an amazing board. I'm going to cherish my memories and obviously the friendships that I made, and you're not getting rid of me. You will see me around everywhere. With that, I'm going to make sure that we ensure a smooth transition. So we will be posting the executive director position. More information will be sent in an email to all of you, but I wanted to make you guys aware that as I go through this year, everything will kind of be transitioned over. I'm excited, a little nervous, but as my husband said, you're going to find something to do because, you know, I need something to do. So, so with that being said, I just want to say thank you again to our awesome strategic partners, our Gaines Chamber family members, our board members, our amazing speaker, our table sponsors, Patrick Vidro with BCTV, and our Pine Rest Postuma Center team. Can't thank them enough for all that they do for us. We look forward to seeing all of you. Please mark your calendars. We have a lot of networking events. Take advantage of them. That is what's going to grow your business, growing those relationships. I look forward to seeing all of you guys still at these events. And I just want to say, have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed your time. Thank you.